It is worth noting that Uganda has made important strides in the fight against HIV/AIDS since the early 1980s. However, according to the annual AIDS Review Report of 2022-2023 by the Uganda AIDS Commission, there is a worrying trend where young people, especially girls and women, are contributing the highest percentage of new HIV infections, an issue that is raising questions like, what has gone wrong?
It's information. Not everybody, we are not at the same level of information, and also never letting your guard down, you know. So we should not relent about transmitting information all the time, because we have population pockets. So the biggest information gap is amongst young people. The older people, those of us, people who are in 40s and above, they saw a bit of the difficult AIDS and so on. The young people didn't see that. So they hear this as a story. And so we need to continue to say, this thing is here, it doesn't have cure, there's treatment, but you have to swallow medicines every day. It's a huge task to swallow medicine every day. So information is the biggest challenge. And that's why it has to be everybody's responsibility. Tell someone, tell your neighbor that this is still a problem.
But parents have totally left the children to grow on their own. They don't talk to them, they don't help them grow up because they think it will be taught in school. But even schools have a limit. So the parents need to go back and speak to their children and stop these early marriages and HIV infections among young people.
Young girls do not have enough female-centered tools. In this, I mean, we need to look at tools that a woman can use secretly by herself, right? When you're protecting yourself, you shouldn't base it on whether your partner is faithful, whether your partner has used a condom. You as a woman, you should be able to have that power, right? So those tools are very few. However, we have had a few that have come on the market. We've talked about the Depivirine vaginal ring, we've talked about the Kabele injection, they've mentioned it, our government has mentioned how it is one of the programs that they are planning to roll out. We have oral PrEP that has been in the country for close to 7 years now, right? However, the government has not told us why we don't have that injection yet.
But also poverty and less empowerment of women is another concern that needs to be looked into in the fight against HIV.
The biggest problem is the communities we have who are vulnerable. And in this, we see more of adolescent girls and young women. They are more at risk because of the vulnerabilities relating to lack of employment, lack of money, not being in school, being marginalized by society, and also, of course, gender-based violence, not being, and that's in some societies, not being taken at the same level as their male counterparts. That disadvantages them and puts them at risk of HIV.
And dying of poverty, rather than with HIV/AIDS. So this also in Uganda it's called Kamanyiro. I think we have got some kind of we don't take HIV/AIDS as a serious disease now. Many people at least don't. Because when you look at the things they are doing, it's like there's no HIV/AIDS. Multiple partners, young girls with old men with young girls.
Uganda's new infections have stagnated at 52,000 for the past 2 years, and according to Uganda AIDS Commission, the outbreak of COVID-19 also threatened the progress.
For example, from 2010, there were about 138 new infections. We came down, and pre-COVID, actually the number of new infections annually were 38,000. But after the COVID period, we shot up from 38,000 to 53,000. Now, we are actually, yes, that sites are unacceptable, but then post-COVID from 53,000, we have gone back to 52,000 new infections. So which means the effect of COVID, you remember very well, if you go to the districts, they'll tell you the teenage pregnancies are high, and you know pregnancy is a measure of the risk to infection, because by the time you get pregnant, then definitely you have had unprotected sex. So that's a proxy indicator. So post-COVID, we now the reduction is very slow. I think that's where the question is. From 38,000, we jumped to 53,000, and then we're at 52,000. The reduction is very small.
Uganda has an estimated 1.4 million people living with HIV/AIDS. Adia Nakuti and Loreen Masika Kazimoto, UBC.